Hi, today I want to show you how you can add a simple bookmarking feature inside of Toddle. So we're going to let the user like and unlike some of those items, and we're then going to add and remove them from an array that is stored inside of local storage. So, even if they leave the website and they come back and all that, they'll still have their favorites highlighted. So we want to talk about some of those principles, how this works on a technical perspective, and also how we add those things super simple inside of Toddle. So we're not going to work with any dynamic data today, but we're going to set up the structure to make this work with some dummy data that makes it easier for us to understand those important principles that are necessary to master Toddle. So let's get right started. So first of all, we want to create a variable with some test data that we may want to save. So let's go in here. Let's go to variables. Now we'll call this data as an example. We'll go on fx and we'll create an array here. We'll add an array and we'll add objects in that array. We'll add object, and inside of here, the key will be name. This will be Andreas, and we'll add, I don't know, we can just make a like in here. So we create a value called liked that will be, I gotta be careful now, true. and now we're going to add another one here, name Vakis liked false. And we're going to add another name, we're going to add Damien liked true. We're going to add very subtle advertisement, despia.com liked true. We're going to add one more very subtle advertisement, NoCode procode.com. Join now to get access to exclusive templates and daily office hours. NoCodeProCode.com liked true. Here you go. So we got some test structure here. Some are liked, some are not liked. So now we want to render a list with those items that are liked and not liked, right? So for that, we'll add a div in here that will be our whole structure for that list. And in that div, we'll add another div that will be the structure for the list item. In here, I'll just add a span for the text. And we need to make this now render. So I got this div here. I can go on the tag and I can call this li, or what was it called again? I just called this item. I can just give it any random name because like HTML. So I can just repeat this and I can go to data, and now we're rendering the list in here, as you can see. And if I double click in the span and go on that text element here with the quotes, in that list item, I can go on fx, I can go on item, and I can bind it with the name, right? So now we render those. Now we want to see which one is liked, which one is not liked, right? So for that, we kind of like want to create like a button on all of those that, shows liked, unliked, and then also lets us change that. So for this, we can use, basic, we can create like a basic structure for that. I'll show you how we do that later on, actually. And actually, now that I think about it, there are multiple ways how we can do this. Right now, we have, as you can see in here, we have liked as a value of part of that array. Maybe we don't have that. Maybe we get data from an external API that doesn't give us a liked parameter. Could happen. Let's actually prepare for that, because that is probably more of a use case that may happen. There may be other things like bio or whatever, but maybe there is not a liked value. More than likely, we're working in production with something where we have another variable, and that variable is called liked, and then we have the IDs of those items in here. And probably everyone here would have an ID, right? ID, ID, right? We can make this ID 1A. We'll make this ID 2B. We'll make this ID 3C. We'll make this ID you see D 4D. And then we'll make this ID A, B, C, D, E. Okay, we'll make this, what was it? 5E. Here you go. So we get some cool IDs. So now everyone has an ID. This is more than likely how the data that would come from a third-party source would look like. It wouldn't be pre-chewed. So what we can do in here, we have a liked variable. And in here, we would start with an empty array. And then we would be able to add items to here. And then we kind of like gotta visualize those things. Now, this is just the setup, but let's start with the UI first. So inside of here, I got that item. And inside of this list item here, I want to make sure that this list is going to the side and that we have the next item going all the way to the other side. So in here, I'll just add a button. So I got a button, and then I just remove the text from the button. And now I want to go to an SVG icon library like Relume icons, for example. I'll take a heart icon. Here you go. So we need to take two icons that look similar. So I got here one with an outline, one with an inline. Outline, inline, right? We need one with an outline. We'll copy the one with the outline here. We'll paste that in the button. And now we need to add one more with an inline. So, oh, that's the wrong thing. Now we need to go to Relume icons and we copy the same icon with the inline, the solid one. We'll paste that in here. And now as you can see, we got the unliked and the liked icon here. So what we want to do is we want those both to be absolute. So I take this, I'll make this absolute, and I'll take this, I'll make this absolute. Maybe not. Maybe, okay, let's see. Maybe we only need this normal one being absolute, yeah. Here you go. So we'll make this absolute, so this goes on top of there. So here's the idea in how we do that. So now we have those ones in here, and we kind of like want to make it look nicer. So we'll make this 0.25 rem and 0.25 rem. Then we'll take that SVG heart here and make those 20 by 20. And then we'll make this 20 by 20. Here you go, very nice. Let's also actually go to the button. We'll make that 3.5 by 3.5. Here you go. So we'll take this button and we'll make this color, I don't know, like blue 50, and then we'll go in here and we can just simply make the color inside of here. Actually, I like that red that I just picked. So how about we just make this one like a lighter red? Here you go. Beautiful. So we got that list. Now, all those items in the list touch each other. So we go to this here, and I just add a gap of 0.5 rem. So they're a little bit apart from each other, right? So I got my nice list in here, and then I probably want to have, the gap of those things a little bit more, maybe like 2 rem. Right, but then I would still like this. Oh yeah, that, here you go. That apparently works. So let's make this 1 rem, and then we'll just click. So here you go. Beautiful. So now we got the UI for our list with our favorites, right? Now we kind of like need to render those conditionally using show and hide. So now, because this is hard to now figure out which one is which, let's make this one actually relative again, and let's wrap this SVG in a div block, and let's wrap this SVG in a div block. This one will be called unliked, and this one will be called liked. So I know which one is which, right? So I got the unliked and the liked inside of here. So then I go unliked, and we now need to kind of like add some dynamic data here to make this work. So I have my data here, right? Everyone has an ID. Andreas is A1, A1A. So we'll go unliked, And now I have an array. I want to add an array in here, a list, and we'll just add an array of those IDs that are liked. This is Andreas, by the way, right? So now we want to kind of like start with the first one to test it. So now Andreas is liked, so this unliked would need to be hidden. So I would need to go on this unliked, I'll go on show, and I go on item, ID, not, oh, actually I would do in, or we don't have in, so I would need to do it differently. I need to do it in reverse, actually. Let's go in this liked, in this liked array in here, and we'll say includes item ID. That's true, it includes it, but we want to hide this if it's included in it. So I need to add a not, I need to reverse it. And then I can copy this formula, and I can go to the other heart, the liked one, and I'm going to go and set the show on it if the liked array includes the item ID. And now, as you can see, Andreas is the one liked, and we see this, it's rendering it based on the variable that we have inside of here, right? If I were to add Vakis, which is 2b, you see Vakis is also liked in here. So this is kind of like how we do those things in Toddle. Now we need to do on click, we need to add and remove this on click conditionally too. So let's do that, and then we'll add the local storage inside of that cycle once we got the baseline working, the baseline going here. So what we now want to do is we go on this button, I register an event, a click event, and I'm going to then update this liked variable. So I take the current liked variable, and I want to look for, does it includes item ID? This will be true, right? So then I'm going to copy this, and I want to add an if statement here. I'll need to paste this in the condition. Here you go. So then, if this is true, if this is including it, I want to take the liked array, and I want to delete this specific element. Now, in order to delete it, I need to know its index. And this would be the one I clicked on, so I could just take the index I clicked on, and that should actually do the thing. So let's see. If I click on Vakis, we unliked Vakis, and we unliked Andreas. Here you go. I do, though, want to remove the hover on here. Okay, that works beautiful. Now, nobody is liked, and now when I click on it, it's not liking it back. So I want to go to this liked in here. This would be the else part, right? And on else, I would just take this liked array, append, meaning add a new item to an array to the end of item ID. And now I got a whole like system, so I can like NoCode ProCode. It's not working, the like system, for some reason. Okay, let's look at that. So in here, I have this. Okay, so in here it's currently null. So what we can do is we could try something different. We need to add an if statement in here. If, we'll put that in here, if liked size, if the size greater than 0, then we're going to take the liked one and we're going to append the item ID. On else, we're going to create a new array with the item in it. So then if it is currently empty, meaning it's null, for example, right? Then we would just, create a new array with the first item in there. That's a selected one. And otherwise, if we recognize there is some length, meaning that it's not null, there is some data in that array, we'll just append on there. This is just to kind of like make it more secure. And because we're now in production, I can kind of like just reset this here. And there you have it. And we got our empty array. So now I could just reload Toddle, adjust the camera while doing that too. And let's see if this works. Still not working. Okay, so let's see why this doesn't work. Maybe there are simpler solutions. So first of all, I'm seeing we're not getting any condition back in here because liked for some reason is coming back as null. But liked is not null. That's interesting. So how about we just hard code this array in here and see if that works. I know the Toddle team is currently making some changes on Toddle to make it better, so maybe that was the problem. Okay, still not working, and now it reverted it to null. Let's investigate why that is happening. Very interesting. So now this is the first state here. We see we got the liked array. Sometimes it's easier to make it just go a step back and see what's going on. So now this is false, so it's doing the else. I do think, oh, for some reason this is appending it to something. This is completely wrong. We got to copy this, right? We got to paste this here. So we have our is the liked, and then actually, because we start with an empty array, we won't need this. We would just only need the append. So we would only on else need to take the liked array and append the new item. That's how we simplify things. And that should work, as you can see right here. So sometimes if we try to make things overcomplicated, we're just going to dig ourselves our own hole. But now we have a more simple, streamlined approach. So we have that. We look, does the like equal, does the liked includes this ID of the item I clicked on? If true, then I'm going to delete this item, right? Because like add or edit. And then if not true, I'm going to append, meaning add this new item to the end of the liked array. And then if I go in here, I can like those items. You see they are liked. And then I got this in here. It seems like one item doesn't have an ID for some reason. Let's see if my data structure is correct. ID. Oh yeah, this doesn't have an ID. There you go. Now this should work better. So now if I select those, right, we have a variable here of all the liked ones. Now you could send this to your backend. In our example, we're going to store this now to local storage so that we kind of like create a life cycle here to maintain this throughout multiple opens of the page so people can like and unlike certain items and then have that stored without logging into their account, which is also, pretty cool and probably needed in a lot of use cases. So let's do that right now. So I want to do this whenever an event updates the data and I want to store the liked variable in local storage. So I go in here on that button and I go on click of that button. I'm going to go to save to local storage, and the key will be liked, ideally the same name as the variable, and I go on FX and I save that liked variable to local storage. Beautiful. And then on load, I'm going to set the liked variable here from get from local storage, and I'm getting the liked property from local storage. So now if I open this site inside of here and if I like, and now it doesn't work. Let's see. Okay. Oh, because I'm getting it from local storage and it sets it as null because nothing is in local storage. So we need to improve this on load thing as well. So I'll set this get from local storage. So I need to do if, right? If the one from local storage, we'll add the size one on here. If the size, or actually let's try equals null. If it equals null, then we're going to just set an array. And if else, we'll add the get from local storage. Again, web apps need some logic. Let's see if that makes it work, because that way, because nothing is in local storage, you know, we want then to just set it as an empty array so we could push those saved items into there. And as you can see, it is beautiful, everything liked besides NoCode ProCode. And if I open this page again, you see the progress is saved. If I unlike Vacus, oh, seems like we had some index issue here. We need to investigate that. You saw that? I click on Vacus. You saw that? I click on Andreas, I click on Damien, I click on Despia, I click on Damien. It does the wrong index here. Generally, when we use this index, there may be some funky stuff with it. Let's improve this. Let's go and click, that's the delete that's making the issue. Let's go in here in the update one, and we can do a different approach. When we delete this here from the index, there is a better idea. We can go with the item, we can go with the ID, and then we can add, we can take the ID and we can say there is a formula, find index. Okay, so I got this ID in here, so I add this liked array, and I add find index, and the formula will be item find index. This is an empty one, right? I need to add a few ones so I can test it better actually. Let's add a few. Here you go. Okay, let's go on this button here and click, and we'll go in here and I add the find index formula. Let's see, why doesn't that work? I got those in here, right? Oh, first one is empty. Yeah, let's just actually reload this here. Because like Toddle always for test data uses the first one, so you want to make sure that kind of like that is all correct. And the local storage is messing up some things here because we have some empty values on those. So what we also need to do in local storage, in this one, is we kind of like need to clean it up, and then we need to do a few more things with it. We got 1B and all that. So let's try that. Let's go in here. We need to do unload, right? We take the liked, and then we need to update the liked variable by itself. So I take liked, right? We got those in here, and then I add filter, and I filter the ones where the item size greater than 0. This will filter out the empty ones that may be happening or may be safe because we're using local storage. So now we are filtering those out. Now we just need to figure out why that's not working, right? So in this example here, this one does include this is false, and this is also, this is true, but it's not showing it. Interesting. Okay, so how about we reload this, and how about we kind of like reset the liked one? Let's go on load or on click, right? Let's just go in here. Again, when working with local storage, this thing is actually a pain. Let's just go in here and save an empty array to local storage. Okay, and then we'll just try this again. Yeah, local storage is always a hassle to work with. Okay, now we do have those set, so I need to click on some, and then we probably need to reload. Yeah, okay, so now we reset it the default, and we need to make sure that everything is properly synced here. So now on click here, I want to save this from the variable. Also, I want to make sure here when I set the variable, right, that we probably also add a filter here to make sure that no empty ones are being set, and then we can also remove it on the other one. So I can add a filter here for item size greater than 0, right? And then I have the find index in here, and we would then kind of like need to improve that formula as well. But in here I also want to add, when I append this, add a filter of size greater than 0. So we kind of like add safeguards to the system that we're building in here. Now when I click on here, this is liked. When I click on here, this is all liked. Now we want to improve the deletion of that. So let's go in this variable here. Let's make this formula big. And now as you can see, we use the find index as a more reliable way to get actually the proper index of what we're currently rendering. So the formula for the find index will be item, and then item equals the current item ID that we clicked on. This will find the index, and then we'll put the index in here that will need to be deleted, and we're filtering out the empty ones. That should be the formula that will make this successful. Let's click on Damien. Damien is unliked. Let's click on Vargas. Vargas is unliked. Despia is unliked. Andreas is not liked. This should work now. It didn't work before because we didn't have a more reliable way on clicking on the index. We just relied on the index data that came from the click, not of the index data that came after we investigated the ID that was clicked on, which sometimes is funky with lists. So let's unlike Damien, unlike Varkas, unlike Despia, unlike NoCode ProCode, and it works beautifully. As you can see, just like that, it writes it to local storage magnificently. I can delete one in the middle, I can delete the second one from the top, the one in the middle, top, bottom, reload the page. It maintains the progress. I can like Damien in the middle, I can reload the page, I can unlike Damien in the middle, I can reload the page, and it beautifully works. And then you can take that data, and then you can, you could open other blog posts and all this kind of stuff. So that's kind of like how we do that in Toddle. But we can also do some other things inside of Toddle, for example, right? We can, for example, go in this list here, and I can wrap this in an element, and then I can go in here and I can add a button, and I can make a filter. So to filter those liked ones. So I can create a variable here called filter by liked, and that will be default false as an example. Filter by liked. So I go on this button here, and then I go on click. On click, I'm going to get to this variable filter by liked. I'll take the value of filter by liked, and I add the not to reverse it, right? So I'm reversing that value. Then I go inside of this text here, I make fx, and I add an if statement. If filter by liked true, it's going to say liked entries or whatever. Liked entries, and then if else is going to say all entries. All entries. So now we're showing all. If I click on here, it's going to say liked, and we updated this variable to show all the liked entries true. So then I can take on rendering this list, and I can add an if statement in here. I can take this data part, right? I do on if filter by liked is true, then I'll take that data and I'll add a filter to it, and the filter will be if the variable that contains all liked includes this specific item's ID. So we'll delete this, we'll go in here, we'll go to the liked array, and we'll add, does this array include this item that I'm filtering through this ID? Now there's no one, right? Filter by liked. And then on else, if this is not filtering by liked, I'm going to just respond with all the data. So now as you can see, if I click on here, I'm getting all. If I click on here, I'm only getting the ones that are filtering by liked. And if I like a few, I'm only getting the ones that are liked filtered out of here, right? So this is kind of like how we do those things in Toddle. Now we want to, style things properly. We want to make width 20 rem 20 rem, for example, right? So this is nicely. And then we want to add a gap of like 1 rem, and then we want to make this button nice. We'll make this like 13 pixels, and we'll make the background like gray 50, and we'll go in here and we'll make this gray 600, and we'll add a border for all of gray 200, and we'll add a border radius of 8 pixels and all that kind of stuff. Right now I have liked entries, and I can filter by those things. Super simple inside of Toddle, all happening on the front end, not needing to go to the database here. Now, what happens, for example, if no entries are being filtered through? There is a solution for that too. We could show like a little text saying, hey, sorry, there is nothing available to you. So for this, I could just add a div block here, right? And I can add a paragraph in that div block. And I can say, no entries found. No liked entries found. No liked entries found. Here you go. And then I can go to this div here, make it look nice, right? We'll go in here, boom. And I probably actually want to add that in this list just so that we don't have this funky gap. Yeah, no liked entries found. I go to this div, give it a side padding of 0.75 rem, top and bottom 0.75 rem. And then I go in here, I'll go with the background, I'll make it gray 50, I'll give it a border of 8 pixels. And then I go in here and I'll make that size 13. I'll make that weight 400, and I'll make that color gray 700. And then we got that in here. Now I want to show and hide those. And the condition will be if I'm looking for all the liked ones and no ones are available. So we go in here, we go on show. We'll make that show logic bigger because we need a little bit more logic here. So I'll take filter by liked equals true, right? And then we'll take data. We'll add our filter, right? Filter by liked includes the item from the filter ID, and then equals 0. And then if this would be true, it would be shown, so we need to turn this into not to reverse it. Here you go. Let's see. It's not working yet. Let's reload, make sure that everything is properly in here. Okay. So now we got liked. There's nothing in liked. Let's look at this logic again. Sometimes we need to reverse logic. And oh, I think I did it on the wrong one. Let's copy this. I added it to the wrong element. It should be on here. Yeah, let's go in here. Let's paste it in here. Okay, let's go in here. So filter by liked equals true. That's false. No, we actually need to remove the not, I think. Because now if I go in here, all entries, now it should show it. So if it doesn't work, we want to go to the state where it's showing, and then we kind of like want to figure out why it's not working. So we'll go in here, we'll go on this one here, and then this is true, this is good, this needs to be true too. But if we filter this, oh, we need to take this and add the size. We forgot to get the size, because you want to look if the size is 0, not if the result is 0. The result is an empty array. So that was my mistake. So now we got that in here. No liked entries found. Now I got my list. I click on here, no liked entries found. I like one, and then I get one liked entry. And if I unlike Andreas, it's going to say no liked entries found. It's kind of like how we do a like-unlike list, right? You can make this a to-do list. You can make multiple things. This is how we implement those things in Toddle. Now you can have it communicate to the backend. And it's saving it in local storage. And it's a super fun little app to build. You probably need some like functionality in whatever app you're building, from AI to social media. And if you want to build better applications inside of Toddle that just, amaze everyone and that really, go the extra mile, I would highly suggest you to join NoCodeProCode.com. It's the best place to learn and build faster in Toddle and Xano. We got extensive Toddle boilerplates. We got step-by-step courses. We got a whole component library of copy and paste components. We got a whole style system powered by AI. Way better than anything else you've seen on the market so far. We got daily support office hours. We got pre-made Xano snippets. And we got, exclusive private tutorials. But, talk is cheap. So let me explain to you from the inside and show to you why it is that great. So let's go in here. So first of all, something that's still in beta that we have added in there is an AI Toddle component generator. It's still in beta. It's being improved. I just posted it so you can start using it. So with all that data that we're collecting, it gets better. It's free to use for every member. I'll pay for the credits for the AI instance that we use. But if you go in here, if I say make an auth form in Toddle, right? Auth form without social auth, modern and responsive, right? Responsive. I'll click on generate. It will generate a Toddle component, and I'll be able to paste this in Toddle. I need to touch up some things maybe, because it's AI, it's not perfect yet. It will get better over time as there's more data collected. It just built this for me inside of Toddle. I'll copy this for Toddle. I go to my Toddle project here, right? And I'll paste it. And I got that form. And then the only thing you need to do is to remove the empty classes. It adds empty classes. Why does it add empty classes? Good question. It adds empty classes whenever it builds something that involves state. For example, if you build a checkbox, there will be an empty class that would be the check state, kind of like asking you to build that. So we need to make flex down. We need to do 0.5 rem gap. So this is nice. And then we only need to go, there's some minimum touch-up still needed. We make flex down 0.5 rem. Then we go in here and we'll go that flex down 0.5 rem. But besides that, it's beautifully working. Look at that. Here you go. Isn't that beautiful? And I built this fully inside of Toddle. I got the hover state, the disabled state, all those things. Again, just remove the empty classes. And you can also remove all of those things that are being added, because it builds it in Tailwind, and then it kind of like compiles it into Toddle. So you can remove the Tailwind classes without breaking anything if you want, But this is way quicker than building those things from scratch. And, it already follows HTML best practices. So this form is ready to go, right? So if I were to type an email in here, and I got my emails now all in here, let's take API@NoCodeProCode.com, right? And I put a password in here, test123. So you can see it's already doing the native form behavior because it is a fully working form. Now I see we need to add another gap in here. So this element is held by this one, and this one needs to be flex down gap 1 rem. Here you go. So again, there is some minor fine-tuning needed, but it's a pretty solid way to build things quicker, and it gets better the more you use it as a NoCode ProCode member. So I just wanted to tell you that this is also available, right? This is like an AI-empowered way to build things faster and better in Toddle. We got the daily office hours. We got all those great courses that help you build things better without AI, from YouTube integrations to custom embeds, Shopify integrations, building your own landing page builder, all that cool stuff. You find that all in the membership. Over 150 hours of educational material. We got templates for sortable JS, for tax input that you just simply copy, right, in your Toddle project, you'll paste them and you got everything you need. You just got a text input, you add it on the page inside of here. Oh, I think I just broke the page while pasting that. We're not going to look at that. That may be something with the local storage. And then, you just add the tags input here, and you'll add the mode. You can do dark or light, right? You'll add the light mode. Placeholder will be your tags. And then people can, and that's how you build a tags input. I can put a tag in here, hey. And, oh, it needs to be bound to a data variable actually. So we would need to create a variable here as an example, tags. Here you go. We would bind this to the tags variable. It'll be empty. And then as you can see, I'll be able to, and I can just delete them. Here you go. So you got all those cool things inside of NoCode ProCode. And here you go. After I deleted after I add the tags input, it works. Maybe not the best template to showcase this on. But yeah, we got a lot of exciting stuff inside of here. A bunch of templates and full boilerplates of ready-made apps for you. And this is so important. If I go to the Toddle premium templates, right? Everybody's building an AI app nowadays. This is a whole framework of a whole AI application, a whole web app for the front end, for the back end, with over 20 API endpoints, multiple databases, webhooks set up, Stripe, Lemon Squeezy set up, authentication all set up for you with Resend, AI integrations all set up. The only thing you need to do is copy, paste, clone the template, change your API keys, customize it, style it. It's fully responsive. It's a whole SaaS with downgrades and upgrades of plans, with a dashboard, a single page application, everything, basically a whole application pre-built that is ready for you. This will save you months in building your web application using those templates. We have multiple ones of them. We got tokens. This is a big one. It's with a 30-hour course about. We have links that is still daily videos coming out. It's about 35 hours course. Then we'll have one how you can build like a fintech product inside of Toddle with a 25 hour course. We have one, the frame, which is a simpler template using Stripe payments. It's like your kind of like for a membership side, my first web app kind of like thing. That is 5 hours. It's a little bit more digestible. And we got great things. Toddle, Google Auth plugin, all that kind of stuff. NPM importer, menus, Stripe elements, PDF readers, touch swipe, GSAP. We got basically everything that you need to build amazing stuff inside of Toddle. Components pre-built and whole templates pre-built, and now we got a whole UI kit coming, and we already have the AI using the UI kit that I built for Toddle in Tailwind HTML. So if you want to benefit from all those cool, exciting things and even more in daily office hours to get help when you're stuck, I would highly suggest you to go to NoCodeProCode.com, make a little application video, and you'll be on the inside ASAP. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate that, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care. Bye-bye.